So I'd like to welcome everyone to your meditation practice. And I'd like to thank Land of Medicine Buddha for hosting Catherine in particular, who's hosting this session. And thank you so much. So again, remember when you're working with a meditation practice, one of the most important parts is to relax, We forget that part and we feel when we're meditating, we're very tense. I see people in retreats with their shoulders up here because this is serious business, okay? So it is serious business from a relaxed place. And then the more relaxed, the more disengaged your nervous system is, as much as we can, obviously, today, the meditation then comes organically from there. Meditation comes organically. So we're going to experiment a little bit in the first half. We have 1 hour, and it's perfectly fine in your meditation practice if you're newer to start with short segments. Start with short segments. If you can only get to 10 or 15 minutes in the morning and you're just sitting, okay, not sure of what to do, but letting the mind calm down, that's pretty good. And that's how I started meditating. So I had a course in meditation. I was overseas in Nepal, took a course, but when I came back to my normal life with work, and what would happen is there's tensions at work that happen, correct? And then you don't know what to do with that info. So you get upset with your boss, you get upset with a colleague, you get upset with a family member. And then what we do is we vomit that story out on someone else, right? And it's negative, negative, and it's all erupting from this sense of self that we have. Very strong sense of ourself that is dominant, okay? And it's not really realistic. We forget there's an interconnected nature to that self. It only exists by depending on other people, other things. But we are the dominant ones. It needs to work for me, okay? And that causes suffering. That's the source of our suffering. So what I started to do with meditation is I had this job with some very challenging personalities, as we all have. And I didn't really know much about meditation, but I set up a little, a little box, cardboard box with a scarf over it. That was my first little altar with a candle. You make it simple. Don't have an excuse that until you get the altar set up, until you move apartments, until you get the job, until you sort this thing. You can start anytime as long as you have your mind with you. Right? So what I noticed was I'd come home with the agitation from work. I was going to maybe see some friends later that evening or something, but what to do with the agitation? And I would go to my little space. It was very small. I lived in a little, very small room, would sit down in front of this little box and light a candle like that. And what I would do is you just start breathing. I just started deeper breathing, the exhalations, letting it go. Okay. And then slowly I'd watch the thoughts arise without getting too attached to them, without having judgments about them. Let's do some of that. Okay. The beginning is motivation, always, to set a good direction for your consciousness. To set a good direction for your consciousness. Positive motivation. In our tradition, we are focused on benefiting all living beings. How do you do that? Best way to do it, become an enlightened being. So I know that's not easy. That's not easy, but along the path until we are enlightened, we help people. We try our best to help people. Good enough, like that. But we still have that bigger motivation. So take a moment right now, if you'd like, find a comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Find a balanced position for your body. Perfectly fine to sit in a chair as long as you have your feet straight down, not crossed. Okay, unless you're sitting in a cross-legged posture with enough room to have your legs out like that. Feet flat on the floor or on a cushion on the floor. Feel the grounding first. We are held by the earth every moment. No matter what kind of fractious thing is going on the planet, we are held. So allow yourself to feel the grounding in a positive, supportive way. As you begin to deepen your respiration, make any adjustments to your posture, and you can do that at any time. There may have already been many distractions in your day. And by setting a positive motivation and taking control of my mind, and I'm directing it how I would like it to go. So think about this big wish to unlimitedly be of service to all living beings and know every moment the best way to respond to them, the best way to engage. Every moment you're breathing, you would know. That's a Buddha mind. What if we could aspire to getting there? But that's not the goal. The real reason is so we are fully empowered to be a benefit to all living beings. And that's a source of our happiness and bliss. If that's something that appeals to you, feel free to include it in your motivation right now. Taking a moment to set that positive intention for our time together, for your meditation practice, and all the events of the rest of your day. And bring your awareness to your breath, just a normal, natural breath right now, allowing the mind to settle. And let's clear out some of the more subtle channels in our body that will aid us in meditating with some pranayama practice. The 9-round breathing is a version, many varieties. Breathing practice, 9-round breathing. I'm following Lama Yeshe's style, which begins with an exhalation instead of an inhalation. So if you'd like, feel free. We're going to start closing off the right nostril as we exhale deeply through the left. Upon an inhalation, we close off the left nostril, inhaling deeply through the right. Imagine you're lessening anger and hatred in your mind stream 3 times. Our second round, we're closing off the left nostril, exhaling deeply through the right. As you inhale, close off the right nostril, inhaling deeply through the left. Imagine you're lessening attachment and desire from your mind stream 3 times. Our last round, we're exhaling deeply through both nostrils, inhaling deeply through both nostrils. Feel that you are releasing confusion and ignorance from your mind stream 3 times. And bring your awareness to your breath. So we've just dealt with the 3 poisons, trying to lessen those in our mind stream: anger, attachment, ignorance, to help to settle the mind a little bit. And then bringing our mind to a normal, natural breath. If you'd like to work on concentration, your focus there on the breath, the space just outside the nostrils, here where the air enters in and leaves the body. Or if you'd like, place a radiant drop, a little golden drop of light right there, right outside the nostrils. If you begin to lose your object of meditation, the little drop or the breath, brighten the intensity of the drop, and it tends to bring the mind right there, focused on that object. That can help. You just try your best. The mind wanders. Simply become aware without any further story, and with gentleness directed towards yourself, simply bring the mind back to the breath or the little golden drop of light. 5 minutes. Please relax. Just take your mind off the object. And if you'd like, you can open your eyes for a moment. So when you're working with concentration, unless you're very experienced, short segments is best to keep the mind fresh. As you're able to keep the focus longer, you can extend the time in the segments. Concentration is very helpful to work on because we're not used to being still. We're not used to being quiet that often. And our lives tend to have a habit of busyness and distraction. So that's why it's really hard for us to meditate. It can be uncomfortable. Our body is not used to certain positions. So think about your habits. Transforming the mind is about changing some of those habits, if you wish, the less than generous habits, into something more positive and glorious. It takes time though, and we're impatient. So again, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, that you're able to just sit and sometimes just watch the thoughts. That's again, as I started with the challenging job, to come home and 10 minutes, let those thoughts sift out. Just observing them and let them float off like bubbles gives them less power and energy. As a result, I may respond less negatively to myself and others. That's the point of meditation. It's one of the main points of meditation. So let's go back to the breath or the tiny drop of light right here outside the nostrils. And notice now as you try to focus on that, keeping the mind focused there as best as you can. Just notice what thoughts start coming up. Notice what distracts you. Just watch it as a detached observer. As a detached observer. You don't have to get involved and sort the thought and start obsessing about it. You're just watching it, and like bubbles, they float off. I can come back to the breath, or don't worry if you just want to observe what's in your mind right now. How's your mind? That's how we start to begin to approach to get to know our minds. To get to know our minds. It's perfectly okay to sometimes just watch what's happening, but as a detached observer. Okay? And to train ourselves like that, what happens is the thoughts dominate us. Certain thoughts, of course, more than others. So you have a negative thought, you ruminate about it for a while, creates a deeper trench in the mind. And then what happens is you start labeling on yourself, I'm no good. I have thoughts like that. I'm a terrible person. People have expectations about Buddhists and about Buddhist monks and nuns. For instance, we should never get angry. I'm a human being. So sometimes I get annoyed like that, but you're constantly working to train your mind with gentleness. Again, the most important thing, gentleness towards yourself. We forget that. So we're very hard on ourselves, driving, grinding. Okay? So sometimes it's helpful with meditation to just watch your reactions and responses, but you don't have to act from there. So again, sitting comfortably, lightly close your eyes. Let's explore. First, notice your respiration, just normal. This is not ujjayi breathing like yoga. It's not loud, just a normal breath. And you bring your awareness there. And adding another thought. we may try doing this and have thoughts. Am I meditating? Is this meditation? Am I doing it right? I'm distracted. I'm not a good meditator. Again, bubbles of thoughts, let them float off. Slowly allowing yourself to be in meditation. Simply to be. Explore that for a moment. If you become distracted by a thought, an idea, try labeling it and letting it go. So, for instance, it's simply a thought or thinking. Let it go. Maybe it's a sound that distracts you. It's simply a sound, or label it hearing. Let that float off. So you bring your mind back to the breath, just allowing yourself to be absorbed in the breath. Let's explore for a moment. Instead of watching the breath right now, what is it that knows the breath? As soon as I say focus your awareness on your breath or on the little golden drop of light we were talking about outside the nostrils, just a point of focus, something is aware of that space. Your mind, your consciousness. Instead of focusing on the breath itself, see if you can find that space of awareness. What it is that knows the breath. See if you can focus on that instead. It's more subtle, more challenging. Try your best. What is it again that knows the breath, that knows to focus on the breath? See if you can find that space of awareness. If you find that space, stare at that space as best as you can, that space of awareness. And if you like, you can imagine filling that space with bubbles of light, all in the nature of bliss. Just try your best. And if you get confused, go back to the breath. No problem. Please relax. Slowly open your eyes. Feel free to make any adjustments in your posture. Any comments or questions from the meditation we just did? Because if you're interested on Facebook Live and being in the Zoom room, you can register at landofmedicinebuddha.org and go to the Dharma calendar under the Saturday morning dates, the 9:30 time. You can register through that link, the Dharma calendar. Then you can come into the room where we can see each other. So we're going to shift to a different type of meditation. We're going to do a meditation on love, which is something our world needs so desperately right now. There's many varieties of meditations: analytical meditation, where we're analyzing something, thinking about something more intently, or the placement, settling meditation that we just did on the breath, on the nature of mind, like that, a little bit more building concentration, those kind of meditations. So once again, how that is beneficial, concentration, is if you're used to sitting and being still and quiet, from that space, if you are able to keep your mind focused on something specific, you end up bringing that into everyday life. It has a deep effect. So that, for instance, just building general mindfulness, when you put your cup down, your mind is there when you put your cup down. So now you know where your cup is. But so many of us spend our days looking for our glasses, our phone, our keys, because our mind was not there when we put those things away. Okay. So it really does help to bring that concentration of mind into everyday life. Okay, so let's find that comfortable posture again. So if anyone is, there are some questions that come in on Facebook Live. I don't have the capacity, I'm afraid, to answer those. If you come into the Zoom room, and you can contact us through the Land of Medicine Buddha as well, then we can take questions like that. So just lightly close your eyes. Find that comfortable posture with the back as extended as possible. We get blocked from giving and receiving love all of the time. There is a lot of fear and pain on the planet right now, as we know, which also blocks love. And love is, in its purest form, in its unconditional form, is the wish that the other be happy, that you be happy. That's what love's about. Wishing someone to be happy. We mix it up with attachment. And we think when we have controls over people and we want them to do the things that we want them to do, or if they leave us and we get upset, is it really love or is it attachment? Attachment is about getting what I want, me being happy. Love is about the other being happy, the person I love being happy. But in that trajectory, we need to have love for ourselves in a balanced way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love and compassion. And that's where it starts to direct towards other people. It starts with ourselves, okay, in a balanced way. Okay. Lightly closing your eyes. I'd like you to visualize right now in the space across from you, seated, is an exact replica of yourself. And just look at that person across from you. And I'd like you to just put them to one side of the visualization in the space in front facing you. And on the other side, right next to them, facing you, I'd like you to think of somebody you love so much right now, your favorite person on the planet. Most probably somebody you know well, or it could be a bigger person, bigger personality out there. And imagine they're seated there across as well, facing you. And I'd like you to focus on this favorite person that you love so much. And as you look at them, please note the feelings that arise right now for you, body and mind. Usually we have a warm, wonderful feeling around this person. And as you're seated here in your space, allow those warm feelings now to emanate from your heart as if it is rays of light, or whatever images represent that warm comfort you feel in relation to this person. Let those images and those rays of light fill your body and mind, you seated here in your space, until those rays and those images begin to overflow through all the pores of your body, sifting over to that favorite person and enveloping them, melting into their heart as well. Just allow this experience to go on for a few moments. You may even generate in your mind some words associated with this warm, comfortable feeling, wishing this person to be happy and blissful. Just notice those thoughts, those words that may come up in your mind, sending them all this unconditional love right now in these images, in these light rays. And get a sense of how this experience between you and this visualized person, think about the influence that can have on yourself, on your community, those around you. What kind of ripples does it send out to the planet as well from there? And imagine this person we're visualizing very, very happy, peaceful, blissful. And let's leave them right there where they are. But let's now allow some of that radiance to dissolve back into our hearts. And let's turn our attention now to the visualization of ourself seated next to our favorite person in the space in front of us. Look across at yourself. And notice you seated in your space here. How you feel as you look across at yourself. What sort of general feelings arise? And observe from as much of an observed, detached space as possible without judgments on yourself. Can you take all that radiance in your heart that was flowing towards your favorite person? And you seated here in your space, allow that radiance again to grow from your heart center. This pure, unconditional wish for yourself to be happy. Let that grow, filling your entire body, filling every thought, idea, and memory you have, filling your entire mind, and let it overflow from your pores, either different colored light rays that represent that, or images, or words. As best as you can, send that over to the front visualization of yourself, letting it envelop them, melting into the heart there. Keep that flow going, now directed toward the front visualization of yourself. Notice anything that may be different than when you were doing this with your favorite person. Are there any differences, any blockages? Does it flow more easily towards yourself than this other person? So take a break, from yourself, front visualization of yourself. Allow that radiance to come back, absorbing into your heart, you seated in your space. But just imagining that front visualization of yourself, happy and blissful. And let's place on the other side of yourself, place somebody who is challenging to you. They're seated there facing you. Let's focus on this person now. And notice as you gaze across at them, any experiences you're having right now in your body and mind. Are we telling stories about this person? Like they interfere with our agenda? They harm us or our families or the planet? How much do we fully know about this person? Do we know their mind? If we're not a Buddha yet, a fully realized being, we have a limited view of this person. That's human nature. And if they were genuinely happy, they may not be in that category anymore of a difficult person. And the more we'd like to hold them in that category, also holds us hostage. So, what if we can try as best as possible to allow those feelings? Let's recall the feelings from the favorite person on the other side of the visualization, those warm feelings that we generated so easily. If you even want to think about your favorite person for a moment and get those feelings generated, flowing from your heart center, filling your body, mind, let those feelings overflow from your pores. Let's now direct them towards this challenging person. Let the light rays, let the images, let the kind words flow over to them, enveloping them, melting into their heart. Try your best. As you let this energy flow from your heart center, let it release you from the bonds this person holds with you, from perhaps your dislike of them. Let it release you from that. Let yourself be free. Let the possibility of the person changing exist as well, and that your relationship with them changing to something more positive. That option is always available. And look across at that challenging person. Imagine them happier, more peaceful, and maybe better able to deal with their problems. At least from our mind side, we are trying to cultivate love and joy and positive energy. From our mind side is all we can do. We can't fix them. That's not our job. It's about fixing our mind so all of those difficult people go away. It's possible. So let's look at all three people now for a moment. So we have a challenging person on one side, yourself in the center, favorite person on the other side. Acknowledge them in any way you like before we let them release them back into the space from which they came. And let them go and allow that radiance to come back into the center of your heart. Let's send these wishes right now to ourselves. Just think deeply. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. May loving kindness manifest throughout my life. Just take a couple deep breaths, releasing any tiny negative loose ends. Just knowing that love is a source in you every moment, able to be accessed the more we exercise it. In conclusion, let's dedicate whatever positive energy we've created to helping us grow this love in our hearts, in our minds more and more. Let that ripple out to the planet. Let us better control our minds overall, which we can do. Being happier, more peaceful. May it also help us move along that path to full awakening so we can benefit all living beings. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for joining.